Today we are starting our last chapter of Algebra 1. So there's one more chapter, okay, one more, and then there's one test. So that's it. One chapter, one test, and then if you have to take your semester exam, you have to study for it, and that's it. So if you don't have to take that exam, you only have one test. Okay? So this is a square root function. We just went over that this is a square root. Square root. Okay? Now we're going to learn how to graph square roots. So here's one thing about a square root that you need to know. It cannot be negative. Your numbers are never going to be negative until you get to Algebra 2 with trig. Because if a number is a negative, you get something that looks like this. There's an I under your square root. When you get to Algebra 2 with trig, you will learn that the square root of I turns into a number. And numbers turn into i's. It's called imaginary. But we're not getting there yet. We don't have time for that, okay? That's Algebra 2. So, for our case, in Algebra 1 for Chapter 10, our numbers will never be negative. So that's why that you see this graph is in what quadrant? 1. First quadrant, where everything is positive. Your range and domain will always be greater or equal to 0. So it can be on this line, but it will never be down here. Your graph is kind of like a sideways parabola. Okay, it's just kind of going sideways. So how we find these graphs is we take all positive numbers and we plug them into our graph. So I want us to use 0, 0.5, 1, 2, 4, and 6. 0, 0.5, 1, 2, 4, and 6. Because I just want you to see what happens in here. Okay, so this is how we solve for y. Four square roots. This will always be the same for every problem. You're going to have this exact same thing every time. Yes, Jacoby?
Exact same number?
Yes, 0, 0.5, 1, 2, 4, 6. We're going to use these numbers every time. Okay, what's going to change is the equation that you plug these into. So to solve for y, we have to plug it in this equation right here. So right now, take all these numbers one at a time, plug them in, and tell me what you get. So you would, in your calculator, you would put 3 square root of your number and press equal. 3 square root, 0.5 equals 0. 3 square root of 2 equals. Not as bad as the quadratic. True. No freezing over here. Really? Yes.
All over to it. All over to it.
Well, you know why? Because this is square root 4. This is square root 6. It's not a perfect square root 2. Are you taking no. Alright, let me get out my little sticks. Alright, so 0. Vanessa, what was y for 0? 0. Guess why? Guess why? The square root of 0 is 0, and anything that is times 0 is 0. Okay? So 3 times 0 is 0. Alright, Callie, what was 0.5? 2.12. Round it to 2 places. 2 places.
Bite.
Carson, what'd you get for 1? Yep. Are you checking your answers with mine? Presley, what'd you get for 2? Good job. Hey, without even plugging 4 in a calculator, what's the square root of 4?
2.
What's the square root of 4?
2.
What's the square root of 4?
2.
Guys, I'm not asking for the answer of this equation. I'm asking, what is the square root of 4?
2.
Guys, I'm not asking for the Diego. I'm not asking for the answer to this problem. So let's try this one more time. What is the square root of 4?
2.
Times 3.
6.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, London's not here. I hope she's doing good at the beach. Jordan, what was 6? Good. All right, so this is what happens. After you have all these points, they become points like you would plug in a graph. So we have 0, 0, which is this point right here. Then we would go over a half and up 2.12. I know you can't really see the grid, but you can down here, okay? So they've already drawn this one for us, but I want you to see all of these dots are all of the points we just made ourselves. So you would make your table, plug in your dots, and then connect the dots, okay? So this shows you what the graph of 3 square root of x looks like. So what I need you to do right now is I want you to try all 3 of these. You need to set up your table, and for each one of them, I want you to use 0, 0.5, 1, 2, 4, and 6. Once you have the y's, plug them in and graph it for all 3 of those. All 3.